Hello, YouTube, and welcome to our very first episode of the Yin Yang Gaming. I'm Yin, and this is my brother Yang. Yang, sing hi for me.
What's up?
That's all you got? Alright, whatever. We'll roll with it. So, we are here today to discuss one of the brand new games of 2015, H1Z1. We're going to be talking about the different things that are going on in the game, some of the issues we're having right now, and this is most of it's going to be our personal opinion. First thing we have is the gameplay section. Alright, gameplay. What do we have in store? It looks like we have loot up first. The berry picking sim of
What loot?
2015.
What loot? You can't have loot up first when it's absent in this game. That's right, guys. There is absolutely no loot to be found in H1Z1. Have fun running around for hours on end picking berries in this lovely berry picking sim 2015. If that's what you want, pay the 20.
No, I've had a little bit of different experience. I've been able to find decent loot and all that. Granted, it took hours on end to find this loot.
Yes, but my brother Yin, you were born with a golden horseshoe shoved square in your asshole.
Hey,
Unfortunately, the rest of us can't say as much.
well, while this is, well, I'm not going to say that the shoving is true, but yes, I am one of the luckier few out there. It does feel like when we get down to a serious point on it, that the looting system, or at least the spawning and respawning of loot, is still relatively broken. Yes, they may have upped in a recent patch how often it spawns and can respawn, but it is nowhere near significant enough to make actually playing this game enjoyable, if you will.
Putting the gloves back on, to be fair, yeah, I'll have to agree with you. The loot definitely is something that can work well from what I have seen. In the small experiences that I've had where I did actually get a couple, decent pieces of gear, I did have a decent amount of fun. And it does seem it does make sense where the loot spawns, and it seems to be in a good amount. Houses aren't too overcrowded with loot, and you kind of got to scavenge for it. But it is very, very painfully obvious that right now things are not working correctly. And if you are trying to have a serious zombie survival horror experience, I would not say the proper loot is there for this fun to be had in H1Z1 at the current time.
Up next, something I'm pretty sure we both can agree on: crafting. I
Uh,
absolutely love the crafting in this. It's very flushed out. I like the fact that you have to discover it on your own and try and put them together. And I love the fact that you have to discover these things. And I reached an enormous list, and I know there's even more for me to find.
See, yeah, I completely agree with you there. Out of all the zombie survival games that have come out recently, and even ones that have kind of been spin-offs, even without the zombie, not mentioning any names, Rust, uh, the crafting system in all these games definitely seem to be lacking. The only one I think that even kind of compares on the same level as H1Z1 would probably be 7 Days to Die. But even them, the way they did their crafting system, I wasn't really satisfied. H1, it feels fleshed out really nice. It feels like it functions very well. It's very user friendly. It's a lot of fun to play with. Every time you get a new item, you want to see all the different things it can combine with in your inventory. It's a very nice way that they executed it in the game. 10 out of 10 crafting system. I don't think they could do much better. I don't want to see anything change, just if anything improved upon. So yeah, completely agree with you there. Crafting definitely an A+ in my book.
Alright, so now something I'm pretty sure we both absolutely hate: the AI.
Granted, it is an alpha, but the AI is downright completely broken. The zombies are no threat at all to anybody at any time. I mean, the only way you can really be affected by a zombie is when you're doing careless things that you really shouldn't be doing in a zombie survival game. If you play the game even slightly appropriately, you'll probably never be even made contact with a zombie, not even one time.
The only thing that I see is when you go into melee with a zombie, you can still get hit, but it doesn't matter what you're using. The way they do their tracking is when you do damage, the zombie will run to the point you were last at when the damage was taken. So it is very, very easy that if you just
To
happen
manipulate.
to go too low on your shot with a bow and arrow, they'll just run to where you were. You
Yes.
can just sidestep and take your time once again. I ran into a pack of wolves, and the same effect happened with these wolves. They were a little bit more aggressive with theirs. They did run after me, but after that first initial hit, they followed the same exact AI pathing, and it really broke it. I should have died from the pack, but because of this one little flaw, I walked away with no damage.
I'd be willing to look past the AI issue, but this was a big complaint I had with DayZ. This is a big complaint I had with other games like Rust, et cetera, et cetera. Nether. If the AI is poor in your survival game, you're essentially just making a very, very large team deathmatch or free for all, whatever you want to call it. It's no longer a survival game as much as it is who can gather crap fast enough to kill the other players.
Right.
And that's not what people are paying for when they buy these games. They want a zombie survival game. They want to immerse themselves in the idea that an apocalypse has taken place, zombies are everywhere, and they need to survive, whether that means taking from others or working together. That's the whole incentive for the other players to come in. For players to be the whole focus of it is inexcusable, and at this current state, almost every game, including H1Z1 in this genre, has the same problem. Until someone gets this AI right, I really can't stand by and say that there is a really good zombie survival game out there. I feel like the AI is the ground, the foundation, like is everything to it, and without it being perfected, we are always going to be left with this broken mess.
Yeah, yeah. When I go into one of these kinds of games, I expect to be scared to find one zombie, just one. I want to be able to sit on a hill, use a binoculars or the scope on my rifle, look into a town and be like, "Oh, there's a horde there. I don't want to do this alone."
We're an alpha, so that's something expected to wait for, limited content.
Yeah,
That's fine. But the AI is so fundamentally important. I mean, if you got to get the AI right. That's
yeah,
that's all I can say. You just got to.
yeah. And we probably go on and on about this, but on to the next one. So, continuing with in-game mechanics, how do you feel about the overall survival mechanics in this game?
All right, here's the issue I have with the survival mechanics. They work fine, okay? I completely agree with the way they have it set up, how fast you starve, how much you need to hydrate yourself, because obviously you don't want it to be exactly like real time, because that like you wouldn't have to eat for like a whole fucking 2 days of gaming. But the issue that I have with it right now, I feel it's way too accelerated for a testing period where bugs and problems are to be expected. When you're releasing a game where you know your loot might not spawn properly, you know your AI may not behave properly, you know there's going to be bugs, glitches, problems, why would you make the players have to pay so much attention to this constant pull at their heel of keeping themselves alive? I mean, that's the reason it's a berry picking sim. It would be a running sim like DayZ if it wasn't for the fact that you were starving to death every 10 minutes. It's ridiculous how fast you starve to death, and it's alpha. Like you gotta give the players a little bit of slack on their leash. You don't want to keep them so pulled tight that they have no time to actually go out and explore. Because 90% of the time, I would finally reach a place I was interested in exploring, like a large collection of buildings, and I would only be on my second or third building. I'd be like, shit, I got to go pick more berries. I'd go run off looking for berries, and by the time I found enough berries to fill myself, I didn't even feel like going back to where I was, and I just kept going on. That constant distraction is a major issue this early in the game state. Do I think they should change it? Absolutely not. I feel it's right where it should be. It's at a good level to where you need to pay attention to it. You can't ignore it, and it affects you gameplay wise. I love how it works. I love the visual display. It could get a little bit better, but it's not too in the way. It's nice and not clean. Like everything's right with it. Just calm down for the alpha.
Mm. And I kind of feel the same way about it as well. If there were more food, loot in general available to the players to pick up, it'd be a lot easier to do the scavenging you wanted to do to begin with. I'm not saying it has to be an incredible amount of food out there, but that increased rate of respawn for food, weapons, just everything in general will help keep that immersion factor to this game. I'm scavenging. I really need this stuff. And like you pointed out, because it's not there, well, it's been 5 minutes. I need to go get more berries. And then, half the time I feel like when I'm playing and I finally have that hatchet that you need to start building, I feel like I need to find a berry patch and just build it right in the center of all that so I don't have to worry about food. And I won't have to worry about water because it gives you both. But anyway, so the next thing we have is the server list itself. What do you think about the server's mechanics in general, being able to see the
I'm
population,
I'm
how it's being
I'm
measured,
split
things like
down the
that?
middle. I'm split down the middle with this one because I do like a couple things about their server system compared to other games. I like the fact that it's you got a nice variety of different server types with different features on and off. I like the way it's laid out. I like that all the filters work properly. You can sort it by different game modes, different features, player size. But touching upon player size, this is my biggest complaint with the servers. I do not like the fact that we cannot see how many players are in each server. And I also don't like the fact that we kind of get no general grasp on what is high, what is medium, what is low. Because even on the high population servers, I found it player to player interaction still kind of rare. So, I mean, I don't think it's a crucial element that you need to see how many players are in a server, but I definitely feel like it's something that people want. I know it's something I want. I know I don't want to go into a medium population server if that means that there's 12 players and high population's actually only 30. Like them are kind of things I want to be aware of so I know if I'm going into a crowded scene or not.
Mm.
That being put aside, everything else is pretty great. I can't really think of any other complaint besides the fact that I can't see how many players and I don't have a grasp of how many players are in each size. And the fact that there's queues for the lower populations, I mean, come on. Really? A medium population with a queue? I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah, I feel like when they tell you the low, medium, high, very high, it feels more like not as a representation of how many people are on the server itself, just how hard that server is working actually. And that could be the cause for the queues to help, you know, smoothen out the activity so it's not running hard from mass people joining or something like that. But if we had a better understanding of how this queue system is working, how they're telling us how many people are on them, what exactly this low, medium, high, that whole range of identification actually works, we'd probably have a better understanding of you know what servers we want to join in the first place. People who are looking for PvP, who absolutely love the PvP like you, I would imagine you want one of the higher populated servers. It
Yeah, I
is
want to be the player that finishes that cap. I want to be that last person in so it is completely full. Them are the servers I like to get into, and I have no way of doing that.
Yeah, so I mean, the lack of information here is a little disheartening for me because now I don't know if low or like because I like doing the PVE when I first begin so I can learn the functions, learn the crafts, things like that, and then when I go into PvP, it's like okay, I know what I'm doing. Now I can be a threat to somebody out there. I can actually play the game like it's meant to be without spending, especially in this current version, without spending half an hour like, where do I need to go? What do I need to get? How do I do this? How do I do that? I can't go up to somebody and ask them because they'll probably tell me and then put a bullet in my head because they already knew how to do it. That population understanding how all of this stuff works, that would be great
That
information.
that also, and another major factor, and the only reason I could think that maybe they decided not to list the amount of players in each server was to try and avoid like server hopping or something, but that's kind of null and void because your character is specifically bound to each server. Every character is
Mm-hmm.
unique to each server, so I don't understand why there is any reason to keep that information from us. Okay,
So,
but
next thing
what
we
we
have
got
on the
next?
list is the aesthetics, the sound. How as far as the game comes, how well does it look? How well does it feel? How immersed can you get from the environment, the sounds you're being given? Does it ever put you on edge? Like some of the music?
Yeah, actually, I could say that for the first time in a long time, I've launched a game and wasn't immediately in the menus turning the music all the way off because I'm not going to be, bashful about it. I'm pretty picky when it comes to in-game soundtracks. It's pretty easy to get me to mute the whole thing entirely. It has to be pretty good, and they did an outstanding job with the soundtrack. It's perfect. Like certain songs come on when you hit certain areas. Music cuts out when you crouch down for that moment of tension. Like the game is getting ready for you to have that moment of silence so you can hear your own heart beating and stuff. It is 5 out of 5 stars with the sound department.
Mm-hmm.
Aesthetically, I think everything can be great, but right now we have alpha problems where I hope to God what I'm seeing is complete errors and bugs because I found certain buildings where like furniture is like glitching through the wall and stuff like that. So
Right.
other than them aesthetics aside, I love the way the environments look. I love that it's like an American version of DayZ. It's much more familiar. It's definitely much more immersive for myself aesthetically, but that's also from an American perspective. And the sound, like I said, can't say enough good things about it.
We now have the UI, the user interface, being able to control and set the game exactly the way you want it. Let it
It's
rip.
atrocious. It's completely and utterly atrocious. I mean, going down from the basics, the field of view. I mean, I've never seen such a horrible field of view slider. It doesn't even really seem to affect your game. The settings are so limited. Like I can't believe that we can't manually set our key bindings inside the game. You have to actually know what you're doing in the game's folders. Go in, change the configuration. Like that is completely ridiculous. I mean, not everybody likes things set up the same way. I mean,
Mm.
that's a default for you not to be able to have the ability to set your own key bindings at 2015 in the gaming industry is just it's ridiculous. I couldn't even believe it. I didn't even know how to react to it. I was so mad. But moving right along from that, I just I can't think of anything I really like about the user interface or the settings in general. I mean, I guess I can say one nice thing is that you actually, uh, I can't even begin to lie. You can't even choose custom settings. They got the most basic graphic settings, high, ultra. Like you can't specifically turn anti-analyzing. They have like two little boxes for you to take. If I remember, I think it's ambient occlusion and VSync. And other than that, your options are completely limited. If you want to turn down shadows, too bad. You got to turn down everything else too. I mean, this is one of the first things that should be tackled early in a game's development, even in like the most early of pre-alpha states. Just key bindings and graphical options. I mean,
And I had a problem with the UI myself. It we use Razer comms when we play our games, and because I have the game is stuck in full screen. I'm not there. There's no selection whatsoever to have it set to windowed mode. I have tried it in the launcher. I thought maybe it possibly could have been in the servers list for some reason, but it wasn't there. It wasn't in the game itself. So anytime you happen to call me, or one of the other guys we game with calls me, it freezes my game. It will then minimize it. I got to bring it back up. It's then frozen a little bit longer, and by the time I get in, I die. It's kind of the not being able to have it in window accounts for my death more times than me doing something wrong, or I'm getting stuck in a glitch and the glitch that kills me.
alt tabbing in general
Oh
at
yeah,
this current state of the game causes all kinds of issues. I did it earlier today. I was playing a session and I alt tabbed out for one brief moment, tabbed right back in, and my game sound was completely gone. I had to completely relaunch the entire game in
right.
order to get my sound back. Basic settings like that just don't cut it anymore. They
Oh
really
yeah,
don't.
oh yeah. Yeah, I feel like a decent, if not severe, overhaul of the UI system really needs to be done and taken care of fairly soon.
All right, well, I got one for you then.
Oh,
I know you were scared to touch upon this one, but I'm going to bring
oh,
it up anyways. Airdrops, my friend.
airdrops.
Speak the truth.
Airdrops. Okay.
How do you feel about this?
Airdrops. I wasn't really too sure how to feel about it in the first place. I thought having guns and ammo and some things in there were a little game breaking. Well, I shouldn't say a little, a lot game breaking. But doing upon research, yes, they said they would not have those things in there. It would just make the game suck. But then they did tell us here and there that there could be some in there, there could be not. So the way I took to it was, okay, it's a small chance that you're going to find weapons or ammo for your weapons in these drops, and then come to find out, almost every single airdrop has a weapon and ammo. That's a big thing right there. Weapons and ammo in those drops makes it really, really game breaking. I can understand if, oh yeah, you got a pistol, but you don't have any ammo, or you got ammo, but you don't have a pistol. You know,
Now, in their defense, this is what came straight from the dev's mouth. The reason they went with this was to create server events, and the reason it was supposed to work this way is when you call an airdrop, what happens is zombies spawn, and it gives off a very, very vibrant green smoke that
it
goes very high in the air and is extremely visible from
it
large
does, it does.
distances. But the only issue that I'm noticing with this right now is the reason I don't think airdrops should be in right now is because, as we touched upon earlier, the zombie AI is completely poor. That's all you have to do is take one arrow out, shoot one zombie with an arrow a good 20 feet away, the opposite direction that you're trying to be, and then you just go around them as they chase your old direction.
Yeah, yeah.
So until the AI is fixed, I feel like the airdrop should be disabled because that's supposed to be the part that makes it challenging to loot them, is the zombies spawn with the airdrop.
Well, another thing I've been noticing was that most of the time the airdrops drop right where you're located. It's not anywhere along the flight path at random. It's right where you threw that flare, or
Which
whatever you
they
have to
said it
use.
was going to be random.
Yeah. So yes, the AI may be buggy, but I think one little fix, like, okay, this needs to be random, but for some reason it's dropping. Okay, got to fix that. When that's fixed, I feel like it can be a little bit more acceptable. I just think, pairing weapons and ammo, it's kind of a bad idea, but I kind of understand. Maybe less boxes have them. I don't know. You can go so many ways with this to fix it. It's just, right now, I,
Something
I
needs to
think it's a
change.
bad idea. And
Yeah.
since we're on that, the whole let's go right into the cash shop itself. Um,
I really am so against this right now. I mean, the only way I see a cash shop working this early in the game state is if they do something similar that Tryon and XL's Arcade did, and that was during that game's alpha and beta, all currency that players bought for their in-game currency was reimbursed to them come launch day. Now, I know they haven't said anything about this. They haven't said whether or not they're planning on doing something like that, or if they refuse or dismiss the idea of doing something like that. But I feel like at this point in the game, you guys need to realize this is a complete broken game. Like it's not finished, it's not polished, it's not that same experience that you're promising us at the light at the end of the tunnel. Right now, it's the rough muck that we have to storm through. For that reason, there's got to be some sort of friendliness to the player community with this cash shop. Right now, it just looks like a big cash grab. I mean, because the way the looting is, the only way to really get geared up is to spend your money in this cash shop and buy airdrops and stuff, which is inexcusable in my opinion. I think they either need to disable the cash shop completely and come up with something else in the meantime, and just tell people what they plan on doing it, have forums, get feedback. Still, there's no way they can't get feedback for it. Still, you have a community.
well, they have Twitter.
They have many ways of getting feedback for a cash shop. There's no need for it to be in this early, or take the route that I said the other developers did. Give us some sort of reassurance that we're not wasting our money, because here's the big factor when it comes down to cash shop related purchases. In an alpha game, you're even told when you're purchasing, and most of the time when you're launching, that bugs, glitches, and problems are to be expected. Now, that could mean anything from your character walking through a piece of wall, your character instantly dying, or you miraculously losing all of your stuff, or your character just not existing anymore. And I think that's completely unfair to set up a game to where I could spend $40 on airdrops, log off for the night, and come back. And because the game's in an alpha state, there's no guarantee that all my stuff's going to be there and not glitch out of my inventory and the game didn't register that I had it when I logged off, or my character disappear, or me spawn and I died somehow while I was logged off. There's no reassurance for anything because it's an alpha state game. I don't think you can ask for our money when you can't guarantee its security.
Right. Well, the airdrop thing, yeah, it's a little unsettling. There, as I said, there are things they can do to fix it. But then you have that event ticket, right, that you can buy, and I learned that event ticket gets you into those death royale things when they open.
Battle Royale.
Yeah, the battle royale, right? But you can find those out in the wilderness, or like out in loot. And, I have found one. Somehow got in my furnace, but hey, whatever. But the key and the crate thing. That's a great idea. And right now it's a bunch of cosmetics from what I have seen, but I like it. It'd be nice if you could find keys and crates out in the world like you can the events.
Yeah, another reason that would be great too is because of the simple fact, like we touched upon earlier, every character is unique to the server. So if I, spend $20 on, crates and keys for my character and stuff like that, do I not get to take that stuff with me? Like, how does this work? Like, I feel like they haven't. The cash shop just it needs so much work still at this stage.
Our last thing on the list is updates. How do you think they have been doing so far as assessing their game and bringing out updates?
It definitely seems like they're paying attention to the problems at hand, and their attention's definitely on it. But it doesn't seem like anything's being fixed. I don't know what the issue is with that. Maybe it's because I'm not the Twitter freak that most people are today, and I'm not completely plugged into what's going on with the devs. But I noticed that there was already 2 patches relating to loot and how it spawns, yet there's still issues with it. So if anything, I would just say the quality of these patches are lacking. Like, maybe they need to step it up a little bit. But it definitely seems that the patch frequency is at a good level that I'm happy with. Like, they're definitely going to keep this game updated frequently from the looks of it, and we're not going to have to worry about 3 years of alpha like certain other games.
But yeah, I expect many more patches to come. Especially if their current trend keeps, I will be happy with the flow of work.
Should we spend our money on this game?
Worth a buy. Well, if it was $5, I'd buy it.
Unfortunately, it's $19.99, my friend.
Yeah. So I suggest give it some time. Hopefully there'll be enough patches that have rolled out to make this game better, or maybe in a month and a half's time we could see something really great. Especially like we were just saying, the flow of updates come out as regularly as they have. You could see something really start to shine later on down the road. But as it stands right now, I would not get it for $20. Absolutely not. Well, thank you again, guys, for joining us. I hope you learned something today. If you have anything you want to let us know, maybe we missed something, you got some feedback for us, just let us know in that comment section down below. Again, thank you guys, and happy gaming.